Are you thinking about making a move to Florida, specifically South Florida, maybe the Port St. Lucie or Treasure Coast area? And you're wondering, what are the top 5 things that you may not be aware of when making an offer and looking in this area? Stick around, you're not going to want to miss this video. My name is Megan Schoner. I'm a local real estate agent here on the Treasure Coast of Florida. I love helping people like you every single day find your home here on the Treasure Coast, whether or not you're looking in the next 9 days, 90 days, next year or two. Please feel free to reach out to me. My cell phone is listed here. You can call or text me anytime or shoot me an email. I would love to connect with you and help you find your treasure of a home here on the Treasure Coast. So in today's video, I wanted to go over 5 things that you may not know about if you are looking for a home here in the South Florida area and putting in an offer. So the first thing is that we don't typically work with attorneys. I do work with a lot of buyers that come down from New York, New Jersey, and it's very common. Everyone has to have their own attorneys to review the contracts before they go under contract, but that is not the case here in Florida. We typically use title companies. There are attorneys at the title companies, but you will not have to hire your own specific attorney to review the contract. So we in Florida work as transaction brokers for the most part. So we work for the transaction, which is why we can handle both sides. And the title company is the one that collects all the earnest money deposit. They're the ones that work with both the buyers and the sellers on the transaction, and you don't have to have an attorney that reviews it. The contracts that we use are the Florida FAR as-is contract, which was written by the attorneys here, and it's a standard contract here in Florida. So that's the first thing. So definitely, no attorneys. Now, if that is something that you are interested in having an attorney, I do work with a lot of attorneys that will also, work as title company. Basically, can hire them instead of the title company, and they can do all the title work. So the attorneys can still do it if you want. Just reach out to your agent. Hopefully, it's me, and we can work that out for you. The second thing is our inspection window. So what's different about this, on our contract, it's typically 15 days. That's something you can negotiate. It can be anywhere from, you can waive the inspection period or keep it up to 15 days or, negotiate it further out. But the thing that's unique about the inspection window, at least in the Florida contracts, is that a buyer can cancel for any reason and get their deposit back. A buyer technically doesn't even have to do an inspection. They can literally just change their mind and say, you know what, I want to get out of this contract. We do an addendum or the cancel and release addendum, and everybody signs it and the buyer gets their deposit back. From a seller's perspective, they like to keep the inspection period as short as possible because a buyer can back out for any reason and they don't want to have their house off the market longer than they need to. But from a buyer's perspective, it does really work really well, especially if you're from out of town. I hate to say this, but sometimes what will happen is, we'll do a video tour. You'll see a house online, say, Megan, I love this house. Can you do a video tour for me? It looks great. And then when you take a look at it, it looks great. We put in an offer. If your offer gets accepted, then a lot of times the out-of-town buyers will fly in and then take a look at the house for the first time. And then if there's any problems or it's not what you thought, then you can cancel and get your deposit back. So that is a little bit of a difference thing in terms of our contracts here versus some other areas. But it does, on a buyer's perspective, it gives you some extra leeway and I guess peace of mind too. The other thing too is I have a lot of out-of-town or out-of-state buyers that say, you know what, I've sold my house up north. I have all this, this cash to put down. I want to buy my house, cash, so I don't have to worry about payments and stuff like that during retirement. So a lot of people will come in and think this is really unusual that they have cash to purchase the house, and they should have a lot of negotiating power on it. One of the things people don't realize that here, at least here in the Treasure Coast, so Martin and St. Lucie counties, is that 50% of our transactions are cash deals. To a seller, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the buyer has financing or cash, it's going to be still cash to the seller. Obviously, with cash, you don't have to worry about the appraisal, and you don't have to worry about finance contingencies and stuff like that. So it is, and it usually can close, within 2 to 3 weeks. So it's a little bit faster than a financing deal. But if you're from other areas where cash is really unusual to be able to, buy a house cash, just know in our area here in South Florida, it's very normal. So the fourth thing that people may not realize is, so during our season, so usually season is between Christmas and Easter. That's when a lot of our snowbirds come down from the northern areas here. But so a lot of times people think that is who's buying all of our homes. But what we're seeing is a big trend right now where most of our buyers at this point, at least here in the Port St. Lucie area, are actually coming from further south. So they're coming from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach area. The reason for that is the home prices down there are getting to be unaffordable for a lot of people. So you're able to have a nice single family home here in the, the mid threes to 400,000, and it's giving people a lot more options. Again, people can also work remotely, so the drive time, even though it's more miles, you're not sitting in rush hour, stop and go traffic like you are further south. So that's kind of a misconception, because a lot of people think, oh, the only people that are buying here are the snowbirds, but really we're seeing all ages coming from further south up to our area. And the other weird tidbit here is, in our area, I don't know if this is anywhere else in Florida, but at least in South Florida, people will move north, but they don't move south. So for example, someone would move from Miami or Fort Lauderdale to Port St. Lucie, but somebody from Port St. Lucie would not necessarily move down to Miami. And same thing, people from Port St. Lucie might move up to like Palm Bay or Melbourne, but someone from Melbourne is not going to necessarily move down here to Port St. Lucie. It's a really strange phenomenon. I don't know why. I think probably the further north you go, usually the cheaper it tends to be, and a little bit quieter, so maybe people don't want to move for those other reasons. I don't know, but it is a kind of a weird phenomenon here. And then the last thing that people may not realize about our area in terms of sales and real estate is that January is always our #1 largest listing month. So that's when you're going to have the most homes that are on the market coming from other areas. Usually you hear like spring, summer are the best times to be on the market. Here in Port St. Lucie and on the Treasure Coast of Florida, really January through March, April are really, really strong months to be on the market, because again, we do have all of the snowbirds that are here visiting. You've got friends and family that are visiting from out of town, spring breakers, all that kind of stuff that are looking and coming to our area. Plus you have all of the snowbirds that we typically have. So January is always our best listing month. So if you want to have the most options for homes, it's going to be in January. Those are the top 5 things you may not have realized if you're looking for real estate here in Port St. Lucie and the Treasure Coast. If you have any questions and you ever need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is below. I would love to help you find your treasure of a home here on the Treasure Coast and make your dreams come true.